Good morning. This is my book, The Bathtub is in the Attic. I would like to read a story from it, and this is a Christmas story. It is titled The Cookie Decorating Days. You never told us that you didn't like our trees, the boys accused me after reading a story I had written. I explained that when they were little and excited about Christmas, I just thought it better to keep quiet. We talked about it again last week, how all the ornaments were put around the bottom of the tree where little hands could reach, and how uneven it looked. But after you went to bed, your mom rearranged the decorations to look better, someone said. Lee replied proudly, "No, my mom left them just where we put them." The look he gave me made me realize that a Christmas tree decorated by a child is more beautiful than any other in the whole wide world. Making cookies is an integral part of Christmas preparations, and most households have a tradition of making baked goods to exchange with friends and relatives and to serve to Christmas company. At our house, I baked gingerbread cookies, white cookies, and a couple batches of drop cookies. Before the boys started school, I allowed them to help with the cookie dough. I gave each a ball of dough to keep them occupied while I cut out the good cookies on the other end of the table. They played with the dough, rolling it out again and again and making different shapes until the dough took on a grayish color from being rolled on chairs, dropped a few times to the floor, and so on. One time I left the room for a moment and came back to great hilarity in the kitchen. These little ones had found a perfect place to roll the dough up and down. On the kitchen windows. Stand back about 2 feet, throw it at the window where it stuck, then rush up to it and flatten it against the glass. I stopped them from that nonsense and explained that with dirty windows, Santa couldn't see in to check if there were children living here. Back at the table, their dough shapes were ready for the oven. With the deftness of a magician, I managed to toss their dough and replace it with clean dough, and they were never the wiser. After they started school, I baked the cookies alone and stored them for the great day, the decorating day. They usually had December 8th off, and they were allowed to invite a friend, usually a cousin, to help. I prepared bowls of colored frosting and set it and all the colored sugars and decors out on the table. The boys, hands washed but still dripping, sat around the table, knives poised and ready to dip into the frostings. They each had a dozen cookies in front of them. There were green, red, yellow, blue, pink, and white frostings. I envisioned a plate of cookies, each festooned in a color with a sprinkling of bright sugar on them. The boys had different visions, as evidenced by their finished products. Each cookie was practically unrecognizable, what with 6 colors of frosting piled on it, and so many colored sugars that it looked like they were just dropped and stirred into the mess. Their faces were smeared with frosting too. "Now can we eat them?" they nagged. So I wiped the table clean, got out the milk and glasses, and they had their little Christmas party, giggling and laughing as they enjoyed the multicolored cookies. Now I sit at the table alone while I frost cookies and remember those days and hear the echoes of 5 little boys clamoring. "Look at my cookie, Mom. Isn't it pretty?" Now how do I stop this? Right there, I think.